a lot of fun, and man, we made some mistakes, but we competed till the very end. Offense, defense, special teams, really a complete team win. Certainly some moments we want to have back. I thought this game, all the way going into it, was going to come down to takeaways. I didn't realize it was going to go both ways really on that. There was I think three on both sides. Got to take care of the ball in games like that. But that being said, we just felt like every time we took the field offensively, all we needed was one more play, one more opportunity. Defense, I think, had their back against the wall a couple times, and they came up big, made some great plays. I can't say enough about our quarterback to play in this game, after being banged up, really having limited practice reps. And obviously that was certainly newsworthy to everybody else. But for him to go out there and have a gutsy performance was really important and special for this team. And excited for our win. There's a lot of love in that locker room, man. That's a good team we just played. I got more respect probably for Coach Winningham than anybody else in this conference. He's won a lot of ball games, and that's a good team. And for our team to win a tough game like that was a lot of fun.
We're starting third row on the left. Rob.
Just a little more on Bo, just kind of obviously he was limited, but particularly that run at the end to convert it, just how deep he maybe had to dig. We can ask him that later too, but your perception on just how deep he had to dig to make that play there, but also just the way he was able to still move the ball, even though it looked like it was kind of a different game for him than
yeah, certainly was a different game. I don't think it's any secret. We asked Bo right before that play, hey, can we run it? Can we run this play? Knowing that the two options were either to hand it off on the flat that we'd handed off before, or for him to keep it. And he said, absolutely, right? That guy's got heart, cares about the game, cares about his team, and I think it shows in the way he plays.
Front left, James.
Dan, can you give us some insight in terms of during the week, beyond the mental reps that he was taking, what all was he doing in order to put himself in position to play tonight, and when ultimately tonight was that final decision made?
He was an aggressive rehab specialist. That's what we like to term it, right? He was attacking rehab religiously. I know he would sit here and credit our training staff, and we got a great medical staff here, sports science group, that always was keeping the main thing. Then the first piece and priority was always his health. And to be honest, early in the week, I didn't know that he would be able to go, but he was aggressive. He continued to work at it. He continued to push. Our medical group, did a phenomenal job of assessing where he was at. And later in the week, we came more and more aware that we felt like, hey, this might be a possibility. Let's just see where it goes. And they did a great job. This is one of those times where Pac-12 After Dark was a good thing. It gave us a little bit more time, right, for rehab all the way up until the game. So I remember talking to Bo yesterday and saying, hey, we still got 36 more hours of rehab, which is pretty impressive when you talk about him.
Second row left, Eric.
With the topic of bouncing back, Bennett had a couple tough plays last week, but came up huge for you guys. Just what does that speak to just his character?
Bennett Williams is a tough kid, man. He's a tough kid that has high expectations for himself. And when his best was needed, he showed up. Right today, he did a great job. Always competes, and was glad that he could make some big plays for this team.
Third row on the right, Ashley.
A lot of your players suffered through two very bad losses to Utah last year, and you guys were coming off a pretty emotional loss last week to Washington. So just how satisfying is it for you, and how big a deal is it for the players in this locker room to get this win tonight?
Yeah, we talked about playing this game with an uncommon purpose, right? We wanted to play this game for stuff bigger than just us, right? This game was about the seniors taking the field for the last time here in Autzen. This game was about Spencer Webb. This game was about being an ultimate team win, and really not worrying about the opinions of others, right? And I think sometimes our best shows up when everyone else doubts us, which, we certainly take note.
Raise your back on the left. Yep.
Jacob Henry, DSA Rivals. Can you talk to me about Dante Thornton's performance? I mean, he had over half your team's receiving yards, and it seemed like every catch he had was for deep, and it helped your drive, be successful.
Yeah, I mean, great adjustment on that last big ball there at the end. He's a guy that's got the dominant traits, right? He can run. He's big. He's got size. He's a phenomenal kid, and to see him have some big moments, especially after he had the fumble there early on, to see him recover and make big impact for our team was huge.
All the way in the back, Aaron.
Your defense had a long ways to go after last game to come back in this game. What energy did you see, or what charisma did you see from them after that tough loss against Washington that really you felt like shined tonight?
I think all we saw tonight was the standard that they want to uphold and that they want to play to, and it's that small, right? I know it doesn't always look that small. We're this close at times at being really special and playing at an elite level, and I think that showed up more tonight. What we have to do is do that consistently. But those guys just came to work, right? And they have high expectations for themselves, and it was good to see them, go out there and perform.
All the way in the back, Matt.
Sure, after film review, you'll be able to tell us more, but just your thoughts on the defensive line and the push they got, getting their hands on balls, just the impact that they had in this game.
Yeah, we talked about, this is a team that runs the wide zone, outside zone, stretch plays, and we said the way you win that is with knockback. We want to see knockback at the line of scrimmage, reestablish the line of scrimmage. I thought that showed up on a lot of the negative plays that we were able to create. That showed up from our defensive line, and several of those balls that were incomplete or interceptions, that was because of tip balls or guys in throwing windows. And it's something we didn't do very well last week. And those guys knew it was something we had to improve on, and it showed up, made a big impact on this game.
Middle left, Rob.
But this day and age, for good reason, there's so much attention on the playoff. And when you suffer a loss like last week and the conversation changes, but there's still a conference title. There's still potential for a Rose Bowl. Is that chatter you still try to avoid, or are those things are still carrots for your guys through a week like this?
I think
help them refocus.
Yeah, there's an awareness, obviously, of what exists in front of us. But, I think we've played our best when we focused on what's next, right? And, that was an elite game. All of our focus and attention was on that game, right? And now it's going to be on the next one. And you worry about the things you can control. And what we can control is how we go perform now against a really good Oregon State team, right? And we're going to enjoy this win tonight, and then tomorrow we're going to be hard at work for that.
Front left, James.
Dan, as a coach, how do you quantify or measure the intangible in a game like this, whether it's Bo and what he does, whether it's Bennett and responding, whether it's your whole team and because of a gutting loss last week, whether it's Chris in a tough week after Wednesday for what was said or what wasn't said, and et cetera? How do you put a number, how do you put a value on this kind of a response?
I don't know that you do. I don't know. I'm just – the reality is you played a really good team there, and that's a game that could go either way, and it got tighter than it needed to go, right? But for our guys to fight and be as resilient as they are there at the end, to have that result, I'm really proud that they were able to come out on the right end of that because, regardless of the result, that was a tough fought game for our guys, and I'm glad they got to be on the right side of it.
Front right, right here.
Dan, last week, Bennett took responsibility for that Taj Davis touchdown at the end of the game. Why do you think he had the resiliency to come back and make that game-saving pick at the end of this one?
Because he's tough, man. He knows what's required. He's not going to sit here and have the poor me's, right? Sometimes you learn the most through adversity, and he learned through some adversity, right? I think our entire team learned through some adversity, and that game last week wasn't Bennett's fault. It was our team. It was my fault, right? But he took an opportunity to make a play in this game and execute, and several plays in this game at a high level, and I'm proud that he was able to do that.
Second one on the left, Eric.
Bo maybe lacking some mobility. How key was it for the offensive line just to keep him clean in the pocket for most of the game?
Yeah, super important. Important to throw the ball in time. Important for those guys to keep him clean. For the most part, was able to do that. I think when he was able to make elite decisions and get the ball out when it needed to be out, and those guys protect him, it certainly helped.
Back right, Jared.
Yeah, Dan, on that note, with Alex being out and Ryan stepping in at center, just what do you make of his performance and him sliding in there? And how close was Alex to being able to go?
Yeah, to be determined. Alex is tough. I think everybody in this room knows that if he could have been out there, he would have been out there helping this team. This is that time of year. We got a lot of guys banged up, right? And it's called vitamin T, a little bit of toughness, man. And Ryan Walk's got toughness, man. Bo Nick's got toughness. We got a lot of guys out there playing with nicks and bruises, and they're playing, performing at a high level, and that's what it takes. That's what's required. It requires a little bit of toughness and availability, and it was good to see him be able to go out there and perform.
Middle right, Ashley.
when your defense was on the field tonight, you seemed a little more animated on the sidelines than we've seen you in past games. Did you take any more of an active role in defensive play calling this week or not?
It was a team effort. Our success was a team effort. And our guys were bought into what was required for us to be successful. Felt like we had a good beat on what they did, and they did a really good job of that.
All the way in the back, Matt.
Could you explain the strategy behind the first play of the second half for you guys offensively and just what happened?
You guys can critique that one. That was poor. That was not. Didn't work out well, obviously, and I'm glad that didn't cost us the game. But great learning moment for me and our staff.
Back left, Ronald.
The run game wasn't as efficient as it's been in previous weeks. Is that, something that they necessarily did, or was that just more part of the game plan that you guys came in with?
Certainly more of what they did, and then obviously we were conscientious of how much we were going to run Bo, right? So sometimes when teams play the way they're playing, the answer is to pull the ball, right? And that wasn't something we were really willing to do in this game.
Front left, James.
Because the field goal ends up holding as the winning score. It's hidden in there. It's not going to show up again, unquantifiable. But a play that Terrence doesn't make last season to spring that run on Noah to get the first down to then 3 plays later there's a field goal. How many of those little things that just immediately catch your eye on that kind of thing where, again, a player who you inherited who a year ago doesn't make that play?
Yeah, you talk about how you play when you don't have the ball, right? That was something we came in after last week. We challenged ourselves to play better without the ball, and it's something that happened early in the season. So to see guys strain like that to make a block that makes a difference is huge.
Second row on the left, Eric.
Just on the defense's play coming off of last week, what was kind of the mood with that group coming off a really tough week, and how gratifying was it to see them show up so many times in key spots?
Hungry and disappointed, and I think I told the team after that game that I was angry and embarrassed for myself, right? And I think a lot of the players shared the same sentiment. But instead of sitting there crying over spilt milk, we said, let's just get to work and figure out how we can get better. And you know what? It's a new game now, right? You can't rest on what we just did because we got to go play another game and got to go try to play at a high level. But those guys are resilient. They do a good job.
Last question, James.
Started by asking about what the past week was for Bo to get him here. What's the next, until Monday when we talk to you, what's the next 48 hours in terms of what does he do now in terms of what's the off-the-field element of keeping him upright in order to do it again next week?
I'll let Chris Hudson answer that. Maybe we're just gonna get back to work, man. Just get back to work. Keep attacking it. So appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Coach. Wow. Players will be in the back.
Joey's, we're having a nice conversation.